President, are you ready to pay me $1,000 every goal I score? He looked at me, this is nothing. All right, this is already it will be in your contract. I'll write it. Now, this one I'm telling you, they are writing a contract. Do you believe how many goals I scored for Boa Vista only that season? Portuguese League, European League, and the Portuguese Cup. I broke a record again. 56 goals. Just one season. 56 goals. So anytime the president sees me, when he passes by me, he'll be hitting me on my shoulder. So you came. You
taking my money. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have with me today on the Chronicles of our legend, a football icon par excellence. I, as a person, felt the weight of this man's greatness on my shoulders. And then on other times, players like me, Finidi George, and a host of other players who played for Sharks of Port Harcourt flew high because this man walked and crawled and ran so that we could fly. There are heroes and then there are heroes. For some, their heroic and legendary performance are so good, it goes beyond just their performance. It creates a mix, an iconic stories, and more. Some stories you can do a biopic on. And this legend that I have today that we're going to share his story is one of such. Just for those who don't know him or you've not heard, is one player who played for Sharks of Port Harcourt. It is said that Christian Chukwu is the most difficult defender to go past. This man took Christian Chukwu to the cleaners. But not just that. Remember, in 1980, Christian Chukwu, just like our very own Troost Ekong, won the African Cup of Nations as the captain and also was the player of the tournament. But then this man breezed past him. Also, we've been bedeviled with the talk of players playing with cheating in their age. But this man had no football age. As we speak, today he's 63 years of age, but he still looked like he could lace his boots and rub shoulders with Cristiano Ronaldo in the Saudi Arabian League. Well, before there was Cristiano Ronaldo, before there was Ronaldo da Lima, before there was even Romario Ferrari, this man was scoring goals as if goals were going out of fashion. I have the opportunity, the pleasure, the greatest pleasure of me doing this job to introduce to you Mr. Richard Daddy Ricky Owubokiri. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Shadafi. Thank you for having me.
I mean, words fail me to really talk about you, your exploits. I mean, let's start from the very beginning. I mean, when I look at all of this, I'm asking myself, where am I even going to start from? What's the first question I'm going to ask? Because there's so much. And when we were talking, I was telling you how we were always reminded, have you scored like Richard? Have you, I mean, what do you think you're doing? You think you're a good player? Can you play like Richard? Can you do this? Like anything we do is measured in the lens and the barometer of Richard Owubokiri. But I mean, and I've been chasing this interview for 20 years. Finally, I'm here. Let me start, okay? Some players come into limelight via under 17, under 20s, or they are known from the senior national team. But for you came into limelight as a high school student at the Okrika Grammar School, or as you guys know it, as OGS back in the day. And your goal scoring for Okrika Grammar School sounds like a myth. Yeah. So tell us about how you average 4 goals every game as a secondary school student at the time.
Yes, that phase is something I cannot explain to. I can't explain, but then God knows. I was very fond of playing soccer. Everywhere, wherever I go, I should have a small ball. I remember my grandmom. I think when I was 6, 7, I lived with her I was born in Port Harcourt, so I lived with her in town. Enugu Street, I remember, number 4 Enugu Street today. And we had a very small backyard, so I used to play. I used to do very well in school, so she would always ask me, my granny would always ask me, hey, what do you want as present? I say, of course, Granny, bring a football for me. So whenever I do well in school, then she will always bring a football. So that encouraged me. I used to play in the backyard there. I think that was how everything started.
And you know, from playing the ball that your granny bought you, even though you didn't share a name with us, but let's just stroll with it. And at the age of 15, some people are still struggling to run errand for their parents, whether it's a granny or their mom or their dad. You were going to sign for the biggest club in the land, Sharks of Port Harcourt, to play under a coach that have gone to Brazil to be tutored. This was in the 70s. So we're not looking at it from today's eyes. How did that happen? And what role did Monday Sinclair play in shaping your game? Because for me, let me share Monday Sinclair's story. I used to cross the ball leaning backward. And the man called me and said, young man, come. When you play the ball, you lean on the ball. You lean on the ball, you direct it where you want to go. But when you fall backward, the ball just go anywhere. And that stayed with me. So what role did Monday Sinclair play in shaping your game? And how was a 15-year-old boy able to sign for Sharks at a time where bare-chested men with sideburns are the ones that are playing football?
Monday Sinclair. It's difficult to talk about Monday Sinclair. I will ever be grateful to this man. I want to see him. I'll be in Port Harcourt very soon, and I want to make sure I drive down to visit Monday Sinclair. He was fundamental in my career. I was just 15, 16, and playing college game, and he came up, and I remember one game, was it against Anitonia in town? We had that stadium in town, and he came up after this goal. I scored after this game. I scored 4 goals in this game. All right, so he came up to me and he was calling me. I was like scared. I said, this is Monday Sinclair. What does he want to do with a schoolboy? I was about 15, 16. And he said, come, where are your parents? I was shocked. I said, my parents are at home. He said, let's drive down. I would like to talk to your parents. I said, Coach, about what? And I said, let's drive down. I want to talk to your mom and your dad. So that was how he met up with my dad and mom and said, oh no, please let this boy train at least twice a week with me with Sharks Football Club. I want to bring him to Sharks Football Club. It was a shock. It was a surprising news for me then. But on the Sinclair with you were telling people how he taught you to shoot to goal. Till today, I've stopped playing, but till today, when I want to shoot, I remember one of the first things when Sinclair taught me was, you want to shoot to goal as a striker, you must chest low. That is why most times I score goals. I mean, it's surprising. So once I'm in a position to shoot to goal, I remember what he taught me.
Lean on the ball. Yeah.
And it will go exactly into the goal. So he played a huge part in my career as a football player. Yes.
And then there's this argument, and why I'm talking a lot about Sharks was that when I was there, everything we did was always measured on your performance. So it was said that in 1980, you scored 23 goals for Sharks of Port Harcourt in the league, and another 5 or 6 in the Waffle Cup. But as much as we've had great players, yourself, Don Braye, Finidi George, all of these people that have played for Sharks of Port Harcourt, we never won the league at the time. So why did Sharks struggle to win silverware? And some of the myths around Sharks was that the team was cursed during your era. I don't know how true that was, but there was the story that this team was cursed. I wanted to share your own side of that story.
I don't believe in such things, saying the thing was caused. I mean, I think, okay, Sharks had quality players, but then Sharks was coming out of, was coming on Nigerian football then. So it wasn't easy. We had great clubs like Enugu Rangers, ICC. So, I mean, Nigerian football history tells us that we had to respect all these clubs. So, I mean, Sharks did all at my time, I'm saying, when we were playing in 1980, 81. Sharks did everything we had to do to win the leagues, and we came up to promote to first division, I think. So we shouldn't write down Sharks those days as people are still doing, you know.
Yeah, I know. I get that feeling. And there was this talk that I mean, it was large in Port Harcourt. I don't know if it is the same across the rest of Nigeria, but when they say Richard Owubokiri, the first thing is that guy that scored goal with Juju. But then again, the same people would say you cannot use Juju across the Atlantic Ocean. So you score goal in everywhere you go. I remember a radio presenter, Timmy Kagboro in Delta State, used to say that Richard Ricky Owubokiri, everywhere he goes, he scores. If you can't score like him, go join the police or go learn carpentry work. And yeah, that's how he used to intro his show, you know. So I want to know, what was the magic behind you scoring goals? Because again, when you went to Europe in 88, if I'm not mistaken, you left Shark, you went to ACB, you went to Europe. First season, your goals didn't come. And then out of nowhere, you scored 6 goals in one game. And if I'm not mistaken, it was in the Portuguese Cup game against Atletico Riachenze. And then you were
Yeah,
playing for SL Benfica. And then from Benfica, you
yes,
went to Estrela de
the
Amadora.
Madura.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get this thing because it's off my research. Now, then when you went to Boavista, Boavista was your boom, was your
Yes,
Eureka, was your
yes,
atomic bomb, where you scored 30
yeah.
goals or so in one season. What was the thing? Because it wasn't really something that a black player at that time was known for. It was you or Rashidi Yakini, but black players were not known for scoring goals because they were like, it was brawn and no brains. But it take a lot of brains to score a lot of goals. So give me an insight into what made you so much of a killer in front of goal.
First thing, I say God. I profess God as my only savior. So that I think that made a huge turn in my career. Right from the moment I let God to take care of my soul. I mean, the things around me. I had a huge turnaround of events. One of them was scoring goals. So when I went to um, first of all to Brazil, yeah, I came into Brazil first of all, and I scored many goals in Brazil as well. Although the Brazilian league then wasn't well advertised, I scored many goals before I went to Benfica. This game you're talking about in particular, that I scored 6 goals. I still hold this record almost 38 years now in Portugal. I'm pleading with the Portuguese or the world football strikers to break this record I still hold till today. 6 goals in one match. No one has done it. So what are these strikers doing today, Edafi?
I really don't
But God
know.
blessed me.
Yeah,
Yeah, God
but
blessed me.
it's not really easy to score 6 goals in a single game. Not Thierry Henry, not even Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not as easy. I mean, I know when people talk about footballers, there's a way they judge us because we do our job in public spaces, and it's hard sometimes.
Yes.
And to be very honest, you're battling for the chance to kick that ball with 20, 21 other players if you add the goalkeepers. And the fact that it means that you had maybe 10 chances or you have 6 chances. It could be just 6 chances or 6 times you touch the ball within the opponent half and you're scoring 6 goals. It's not that easy. But you kind of like perfected the
No.
act of, for you, it was stroll in the park. Nobody could even talk to you. But we're just doing surface touching one place or the other. But then how difficult was it for you to leave your hometown club, Sharks of Port Harcourt, and go to ACB in Lagos? I mean, you're a Port Harcourt boy, you're a cricket man. Traveling was not normal at the time. How difficult was
Yes,
it?
it wasn't common. It wasn't common. Like I told you, I always set my goals, and I pray that the Lord will guide me to get to my goals. So that change, leaving Port Harcourt to Lagos for ACB was very, very unusual. Do you know that when I got into Lagos, and I told the ACB officials, but my eye as well was on my studies. I told them, listen, okay, you guys brought me to play for ACB. Now I want to tell you my conditions. One of them is I want to do my A levels. So I did my A levels at St. Gregory's College, Obalende. So you see the distance, Obalende to Surulere. But my eyes were on my books and my studies. I was taught so young from my parents that I should actually not forget my studies. Even if I wanted to play football, I should always concentrate on my studies. So, do you know I lived in the college in Obalende with some of my with some mates in the college there. Then I was going to train from Obalende to Surulere. That's a huge journey those days, you know. Yeah, but I was somebody very, very dedicated. I think God gave me this gift to concentrate on whatever I'm doing. So I went out to do all that I could to become a better player, to become a better man. Yeah.
Ricky, to be very honest, some of these things you're saying are sounding like magic. First off, how did you convince the school authority that, look, I'm playing professional football, I would be cutting classes? I went to school too. I was playing football and going to school. It wasn't easy. At some point, I was having a problem with my classes because I was missing classes. And then you need to go for matches. Some of the matches were away from the state. To the people, now people say you can't play football and go to school. So to those people, please explain the difficulties. Abalende to Surulere, some people might say not that difficult, but the mental strain it brought on you. You just lost a game, and then you're coming back to write a test or an exam or prepare for an exam or test. What was all that? The process.
Do you know that really happened in my life? I was writing my final WAEC exams in OGS. Then I had traveled out, I think 5 days prior to these exams. I think that was the commerce exams, WAEC exams. I had traveled out with Sharks of Port Harcourt to Abidjan. I think we played against Stade of Abidjan. I remember we drew 1-1. I remember I scored the goal, in fact, in Abidjan. So when we got back to Nigeria, I was on a Saturday. We got back to Nigeria. Then I had my exams, my YX exams on Monday coming up. So when we got into Lagos, the Sharks official said, "Hey, we must take you back to Port Harcourt because you're going for your exams." I said, "Okay, yes." We got to the airport, the Lagos domestic airport. We got there, and I was so surprised. They announced no flights to Port Harcourt. I was on a Saturday. I had my exams 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So they had canceled my flight on Saturday. They said, "Okay, yeah, flights will resume on Sunday." We went to the airport. They canceled my flight Sunday. Then I told the club official, "You guys must take me by route to Port Harcourt because I have my exams tomorrow morning." They said, "No, wait, there is a chance you travel on Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning." We got into the airport on Monday morning before 7, of course, trying to fly. And now this flight delayed till about 8 o'clock in the morning. So finally, by His grace, we flew from Lagos to Port Harcourt. I got into Port Harcourt at 8:45. That is 15 minutes to my WAEC exams. So they picked me up at 9 o'clock. I started traveling to Greek grammar school. When I got into college in Afi, the students were shouting, hailing me. I don't know why they were shouting and hailing me. I just went into the to the exams. 30 minutes had passed into the exams. So I got in. Believe it, I came out of the exams even before many of my colleagues.
Oh my God.
And I had a credit in this commerce. So I just give all glory to God.
And so let's jump on a plane since they'll be canceling your plane, delaying your flight. Let's jump on the plane from ACB to the America, or that's how it's called, right? When you went to Brazil and
Victoria of Bahia.
Yeah, so
no, America Football Club of Rio de Janeiro. Yes.
Yeah, good. You went to American Football Club of Rio de Janeiro before you went to Victoria. But let's talk about culture shock. You are a Port Harcourt, a Pitakwa boy. Pepper soup and yam, roasted plantain and fish, sauce, achi soup. If you ventured into the Ikwere side, and then you are now in Brazil. The size of the beans is bigger than what you have in Nigeria. They call plantain African banana. The food is different. Their type of rice is different. The language is different. Young man just got out of your teenage age, you're in your 20s, early 20s to your mid 20s, far away. This is not a place where you can get angry and enter night bus and go to Port Harcourt. This is far, one end of the world to another end of the world. How did you adapt? How did you adjust, settle in, and immediately start scoring goals?
One of the qualities God gives to people is self-dominion. Yeah. God gives you the ability, as soon as you confess him as your only savior, he gives you the ability for you to be able to adapt in any situation. So when I got
are you saying
into my
that
life,
the scripture that says wherever the sole of your feet shall tread upon, I've given to you, are you trying to say that's what worked in your life right now?
No, it worked, and it works. It still works. So whenever I set up a goal, I pray over it, and he has always been there. God has always been there to answer my prayers. So I'm not so I wouldn't be surprised if anyone would do that in life. I wouldn't be surprised. He made a huge difference in my life, is what I'm saying. It's not easy to come up and say and tell people all what God did in my life. It's not easy. But believe it, this is what God has done in my life. He changed my life totally. So he gave me the capacity to adapt to any situation.
Now, there's something magical in your travel. It was 31st of December, 1983, that you traveled out of this country. That same day
I was supposed to have traveled out on the 31st, but the flight delayed, and I traveled out on the 3rd or 4th of January.
And then there was a military coup in Nigeria that ousted the government of Shehu Shagari. I don't know where you heard it, how you reacted to it, but I want to hear your own perspective of that. I know that's not football related, but it was your country. You were leaving the country and government had changed.
We thank God today because God is restoring peace in Nigeria. Nigeria is a huge nation. Nigeria is full of people that are so interesting, and in Nigeria, you can see people who wants to work. You can see all sorts of people in Nigeria who wants the country to become better each day that goes by. So hopefully those turbulent periods that Nigeria experienced has actually gone. So yeah. I mean, we thank God. We thank God today, and then we have a better nation. I just hope that it will become more each time more better. Because you see, I'm not trying to tell those that are not Christians that it's only God that does things. But in my own opinion, in my own personal opinion, because I had this experience, I had this experience. Nigeria is getting better each day that goes by because in Nigeria, we're having each time that passes more people that confess Jesus Christ as their personal savior. So this makes a huge difference. A huge difference.
Okay. We're now in church. Pastor Richard Owubokiri is preaching, and I'm enjoying it. Okay, but let's talk. But let's come to the human side of it. Ijaw language and Portuguese language do not have any similarity. You still not explain to me how you got in there. I know that there's this thing we say that football speaks one language. When the ball bounces, you know where the ball is going to. But outside of the rectangular space of that field where we're playing to score goals, to pass, to defend, how did you fit into society in America? I mean, I was in Brazil for 5 weeks. I love the country. I wouldn't lie, one of the best countries that if I was ever going to leave Nigeria, I'm not planning to. Brazil would be my destination. But how did you fit in with the language, the culture, the temptation of the Brazilian women? And there's a lot. I know you're going to tell me another thing about God right now, but please tell me from that time, the perspective from that time, not from today. How did you fit in?
Okay, that's that same way I got adapted in Lagos when I left Shark Football Club.
No, Ricky, Lagos was your country. Lagos, you are staying in Nigeria. Lagos was 6 hours or
but
10
then
hours away.
I did what I'm trying to say. Edafe, I did the same. I had the same strategy in Rio as well. When I got into Rio, I told my club officials, American Football Club officials, "Hey, you guys want me to stay here? Get me a Portuguese teacher." They got me immediately. So, I mean, when you start speaking the people's language, things become easier for you, right?
True.
So,
True.
yeah. Yeah.
And who were your teammates in American club? People say that the league in Brazil was not that broadcast, but I mean, this is Brazil. This is Brazil that just won the World Cup in 1970. This is Brazil that produced Pelé, Garrincha, Jairzinho, every Falcao, Zico, Socrates. So no matter how much it wasn't broadcast, the quality was very high. Why would a Nigerian even choose to go to Brazil, where they play a very advanced, sophisticated style of football? How did that move come about?
Okay. Do you remember in Nigeria, back in Nigeria, we used to have two Brazilian coaches. One was Dr. Gloria for the national team.
Yeah.
And one was Luciano de Abreu, who was a Brazilian, that was in Sharks Football Club. He was my coach in Sharks Football Club. So he was the one who started this movement for me to go. He came up to my parents and said, "Hey, come on, please let me carry this boy to Brazil. I don't want him to lose his talent here." That was how my Brazilian story started. So he indicated me to America of Rio de Janeiro. And they did not think twice, because those days you don't have videos, you don't have DVDs or whatever. So they believed in what he said and took me to Rio de Janeiro. I remember when I went there, the first training the next day in Rio at the America Football Stadium. We were training. So the coach put me of course, not naturally, on the second team. Then I scored 1 or 2 goals. I don't know. I cannot explain to you how that happened today. I scored 1 or 2 goals. Everyone was marveled. I mean, it was surprised. So, and then after I scored the 2 goals, the coach just brought me out of the game. He said, "No, come out." So I went out of the game, of course, and I sat down and I was crying. Then the club director came up to me and said, "Richard, why are you crying?" I said, "So you guys went as far as Lagos to bring me into Brazil, and now you let me to train to prove who I can become in football for 15 minutes." And my club director was laughing. He said, "Listen, the coach just called me and told me, I'm satisfied. 15 minutes is okay. sign contract with him. That was how I signed the contract with American Football Club.
I was really curious. I was waiting for how this story
Yes,
was
yes,
going to
yes.
end. And to be very, very clear with the people who are watching this, who will sit back and watch this. Your story is a lot magical. Now I get the reason why people say no, the story is mythical, because it's not something that you can explain to any other person. It's not something that is easy to comprehend anyway. But having said that, the coach liked you after 15 minutes, the club president, the director, everybody liked you. But then there is always a troublemaker in your team. There's always a player who feels, oh, this guy is coming from Africa to come and take my position. This one is coming to come and unseat me. You know, they are better Brazilian player. And you know, if you're a Brazilian in that era, you have an attitude, there's nothing wrong. You should have an attitude because you're from the greatest footballing nation in the world. And who is Nigeria? They've not played in the World Cup at this time. We're really nobodies. So how did your teammates, your competition for the same position, how did they treat you?
That's one of the secrets I learned in football, Daffy. I learned that that is what I teach my younger players. I mean, in my academy, when you go into a club for a trials or a training period, one of the first things you should do, for example, as a striker, when you get in there, of course, you get to know who are your partners, striking partners in the club. They are the first you have to get close to. You have to get close to him and say, "Hey, come on, how are you doing, my friend? Let me tell you, I didn't come to take your place. I came to help. I'm just here to help. So I didn't come to take your place." Once you do that to somebody who is vying for the same position as you, you've killed him.
Disarmed him, yeah. I mean, that's a very good thing that I've
You've
just learned.
disarmed him. You've disarmed him, absolutely.
So, you know, I remember when I went to Europe, when I went to Sweden, there was always a player who's the guy who's like your tour guide who tells you, okay, don't go to this area, don't go to this place. And in football, there is lesson number one you learn in football is the rivalry. So somebody comes and tell you, you see all this team in this league, we can lose to this team, we can lose to that one, we can lose to that one. But hey, this one and that one, we have to die. For you, going to Europe, it's not common in Nigerian league. You know, play and win, you go away, you might not win, but you play at home and you win. And then you're here in Brazil, where rivalry in Brazil, rivalry in Argentina was very high. How was your introduction to football rivalry in Brazil?
Okay, simple. I had the zeal. I wanted to learn. I wanted to train as more than even the Brazilians. There are stories they tell today when I came into Victoria Football Club. Victoria Football Club here in Bahia is one of the best clubs around. So it's a very known club. So when I came into it, I said, okay, what brought me here? Football. So I said to myself, I must be one of the best in football and I must be one of the highest goal scorers. So how do I go after this? How do I go for this? I was very, very concentrated on my trainings. Trainings will end officially, and there you will see Ricky. I'll call the right fullback, the left fullback, and the goalie for an extra training of 30, 40 minutes. I'll be there training with them. Just trying to make sure I do. I put in the balls in the right place so that once I get to do that perfectly, I knew that if I go into official games, that I will be scoring goals. So it was like a magic here in Brazil. I was scoring goals, and I will tell people, you know what I thank God for. I will tell people a day before a special match or a particular match. I will tell people tomorrow I'm going to score 2 goals, and if you believe it, I had the grace of God, and I will go in and I will score the 2 goals. Unbelievable.
Wow. Again, another thing that you did not suffer much in football was injury. You had speed, you could dribble. They say you're a galloping striker. You get the ball, you are away from your marker. So I need you to teach now. This time you have to teach some of the strikers. One of the things I noticed with a lot of strikers, like Osimhen, for instance, I think that Nigeria has never had a striker like Victor Osimhen in my lifetime. He's different. His skill set different. His powers, his ability. But I think that one of his shortcomings that he walks too much. He runs too much. And you know that thing that scientifically, when you run too much, blood pumps to your head and then your vision become blurry and it makes you lose your the precision and accuracy. We learned that very late in football. We learned that very late. Like you start realizing that, oh, I wasn't supposed to burn this much energy. The ball is actually faster than the man. I can kick the ball in a particular way, and the ball, you don't know that at the early stage because you want to do everything. You think you burn more energy, that's when you'll be loved. What can you teach a young player who wants to score goal like Ricky?
First thing, he should have the desire, the zeal to score goals. As the first thing. The second thing, he should like to train. These days, you don't see players who want to spend time training. They think probably training is just a waste of time. But it's the secret of the whole thing. When you train, you become a better player than others. So when you have these two things, plus now the last one I'll say, timing. You know, have you seen? You must have seen many goals Romario scored in his
Yeah,
career in PSV or in Barcelona.
Barcelona and the rest.
You will never see Romario running anyhow. He does it. I mean, in a calculative way, manner. I mean, so I learned that as well. That is why I try to transmit to my younger students, younger players today. You don't run anyhow. Like as you just concluded, you'll be wasting time. But you must make sure you have that timing, right? Timing skill in you. So once you know you have that timing skill, you know the best time to do a particular movement, doing a particular running. So once you have these three factors, that's it.
All right. So let's join in from Brazil. Let's move away from Brazil and let's start coming back to Europe. And without you, would have thought that, oh, you speak Portuguese in Brazil, so you move straight to Portugal. But it wasn't like that for you. You moved away from Brazil and coming to Europe. It was Stade Lavalois or so in France that you came to.
Yes.
How did the
Yes.
French people discover you, and how did you be, the whole deal came back? Again, I was told that then we didn't have football agents or players agent like we have now. How did you manage all of that? Because your story is filled with grace, a lot of God's grace, a lot of all of that.
Amen.
So,
Amen. Amen.
so let's talk about how, a young African in an era that football is filled with racism, discrimination, you were just going through like hot knife through butter, not having problem. But how did you go from being discovered in Brazil to coming to France?
Yeah, Mr. Daffy. I was scoring goal almost every week in Brazil. So even European clubs were seeing my goals. So what happened in my case was that one of the nephews of the former French president, Giscard d'Estaing, one of his nephews was living in Brazil, then came up to Bahia and said, "Hey, come on, I want to take you to France." I said, "No, this story is not with me. You have to talk to my club." So he went up to talk to my Victoria Bahia, the officials, and told them, "Hey, come on, I can do a transfer for your player to France." Initially, they hesitated. They didn't want me to move, but I told them, "Listen, I want to move. I need to move forward." So he came into Salvador. We negotiated. And it was easy. A French club called Metz of France. Metz is a city very close to Belgium, very close to on the borderline with France, Luxembourg, and Belgium. So he was living there then. So he came up and we did a deal. They bought me over into Metz of France. The problem was that in Metz, those days, you could only sign 2 foreign players. So as Metz had already 2 foreign players. So they said, Metz bought me. They were courageous. They bought me and lent me to Stade Lavallois. That was how I went to Stade Lavallois, which was the first division club, of course, then was the first division club. That was how I went to France.
And so how was the experience? How was the Ricky train? Because now it's a moving train from Port Harcourt to Lagos, Lagos to Brazil. It has been established that this train has substance. You didn't have any point to prove again. You are now a goal scorer, not yet a goal machine, but you are now a goal scorer. How did it go in France?
Yeah, it went well. The first season I scored with Stade Lavallois, if I'm not mistaken, 13 first division goals. So I was one of the highest goal scorers in France then. Then the next season I went to the club that bought me, FC Metz, of course. Yes. But that was a very brief period I spent in Metz. It was too cold for my Brazilian wife then, too cold. I mean, life was too tough in Metz because it was extremely cold for her, for my family. So I decided to move. So then Benfica came into this story.
Yeah, so how because now it wasn't just about your playing, it was family. And I'm going to come to family later, how you met your wife, all of that is going to come later. I'm saving it for the back burner. When you decided you want to move, were the guys at Mets happy, or were they saying, okay, if that's what you want, okay? I mean, remember, they have chance to register only 2 foreign players. Now they've let go 1 foreigner for you, who they sign and loan you out to Stade Lavallois, and then you are back. Instead of you to score goals for them, and extend your stay, you want to leave. Then I need to go bring in another new foreign player, all of those stress that goes with it. Was there any problem, or they just say, okay, you know what, if you get a club, we'll let you go?
No problems at all. I think they understood. My family was adjusting well into the system, and so they let me move. Let me move to.
So how did you come in contact with Benfica?
Yes, then that was how I came in. I had an agent. He is Portuguese, but had lived in France for so many years. I had an agent. This agent took me to Metz. Took me to Benfica, of course. Sorry, took me to Benfica. That was how I went into Benfica.
And the funny thing was that Benfica, the journey didn't start smooth. No goals. You were struggling at the beginning. What was responsible? Remember that Portugal is just like Brazil. So you're supposed to be easy. And again, if you think about it very well, Portugal, Spain in Europe is almost like Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the way they live, maybe a little bit more advanced, but it's like Nigeria. Why did you struggle in Benfica?
Benfica, I went in to play as a first team player, of course. So, but then I had a very serious ankle problem. We traveled to the US. Benfica went on a playing tour. That was the first game I had with Benfica at the Giant Stadium in New York, and we played on an artificial turf. So I fell and I broke my ankle seriously. That made me to lose about 5-6 months in Benfica trying to recover. That was why my start in Benfica was very slow. But I still came in, scored many goals, and kept a record for Benfica till today.
Yeah, the 6 goals in a single game. Yeah, I mean that would be there for a very long time. When you sit down with your kids, let me bring your family into this now. When you sit down with your kids and share this record, because right in front of you, all around you, you are surrounded by football. this is not, oh, you go explain. There are no pictures, there are no evidence. Your trophies. I don't know if you will pan the cameras around your office. I would like my viewers to see. So you tell us all of this trophy, these boots, this one. Just tell me what they are.
Okay, yeah, this is the golden boots. I'm even planning to carry this with me to Port Harcourt. I'll be in Port Harcourt very soon. This one.
I hope
This one will come.
I hope I come around to see you in Port Harcourt.
Yes, this is coming into Port Harcourt because I'll be in Port Harcourt. And this is the golden shoes I won as the highest goal scorer in Asia.
Oh.
That was in 1997. I was the highest goal scorer. If you see, it's written. The meilleur buteur. I've got many trophies here. I thank God. That will not, but permits me. I thank God. I want to give all glory to God for all this trophy. Some people will say, "Hey, come on, these trophies are wonderful," but the most wonderful goal I scored in my career. You want me to let your audience to know?
Yeah.
The most wonderful. Listen very well, please, everyone. The most wonderful goal I scored in my career as a football player was to have given my life to Christ.
Wow.
It's the most wonderful goal I scored.
That's a lovely one.
Today, God reigns in my life. So I'm coming to Port Harcourt. I'm coming to show people some of the most important trophies I have in my career. But my main objective is to lead people to Christ.
That would be great.
My greatest wish today on earth is to lead people to Christ. Lead people to know what God did in my life. So I'll be in Port Harcourt at the Salvation Ministries, headquarters in Port Harcourt, where I worship. And I want to help lead people to Christ.
That is amazing. That is beautiful. Now, having said that, let's come back to football again. One thing led to the other. I'm sure Benfica will be regretting that, but they let you go. And let's talk about that story. You left, and a part of your story, you worked with Jose Mourinho. That's a very, I've been saving this for a while, but you were supposed to move to Beramaya, or was it Berama? What they call it? You were supposed to move to Berama, but somehow you ended up with Boavista, where you showed everybody that, look, I didn't only just score goal in Nigeria or score in Brazil. Bring the ball, I will score. And that's where this whole golden shoe, this one on this side, talk to us about going to Berama, from Berama to Boavista. How did it happen?
Actually, I did not get into Berama. I had a phone call from the president of Berama. That was about 3 p.m. in Lisbon. I received a call from Berama. That was 1989. No, sorry, that was in 1991. Sorry, I received a phone call. The Berama president was saying, "Hey, come on! I never knew you're a free agent. So come into Berama. I'm waiting for you tomorrow. I'll be at the train station. Look at your ticket. Look at your ticket. I'll be at the train station to pick you up, so that we can sign a new contract." And I looked at him and said, "Sir, I have other offers. So, but then let me talk to you. I'll talk to you, President. Before I sign a new contract with any club, I'll let you know." Then he said, No, I want you to pick up the next flight and come to Berama. So as I just dropped the phone, the Boavista president is called Valentin Loureiro, a very popular figure in Portugal. He's called and said, "Hey, come on, I never knew you were free. My coach just called me now and saying I must get you to Boavista. I must. So how can I do to get you into Boavista?" I said, "Sir, this is a long story because I have some clubs who wants me, but I have to pray over it and decide where I would go. He said, no, I'm sending somebody to your home right now. They'll pick you up in your home and bring you to Porto. When I looked at this, I said, listen, sir, I have a conversation tomorrow morning with the president of Bama. He said, no, you come to Porto. Okay, you come to Porto, I talk to you. Then later, early in the morning, the next day, I'll let you go to Bama. I knew he was playing tricks on me. So it was hard for me. It was hard for me to make a decision. Because if you compare Bama and the Boa Vista, no comparison. Boa Vista was a far better club. So I looked at my career and I prayed to God. So God gave me the peace to go to Porto. I said, okay, I'll go to Porto, President. I will not sign the contract. I'm just going because I respect you. I want to sit down with you. We'll talk. Then I will have to go to Bama and talk to the president of Bama. He said, okay, you come. So I went to Porto. When I got into Porto, at the airport, the president picked me of Boa Vista. He picked me and went to his house. That was about midnight. We got into his house. He and his family, they received me. And he said, listen, I want you at all costs in Boa Vista. What do you want? What do you want? Tell me what you want. I said, sir, it's not a question of what I want. It's not a question of what I want. I want to see, I want to know where I would score goals because I want to score goals. Then he said, so here we're the right person. Me as president, I'll guarantee you that you are going to play. And what do you want? What do you want in terms of euros? What do you want? I said, President, it's not about money, I'll repeat. He said, but I want to pay you. So I said, okay, tell me a proposal. So he gave me his proposal. When I looked at other proposals I had, probably in terms of my career, the best will be Boa Vista. Then I told him, President, listen, yes, I would like to come to Boa Vista, but listen, I have a compromise with somebody that I have to honor this tomorrow. I must go to Bama. Whatever happens, I want to go there and say hello to him, talk to him. He said, okay, I'll let you go, but you sign the contract here. I said, how would I sign a contract if I'm going to say, if I'm going to speak to the president of Bama? This one, I'm telling you, Daffy, we have gone into 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. But the man was so smart, intelligent, because he wanted to play on my tiredness. I was already worn out, tired. I said, President, I need to go to the hotel to sleep because tomorrow morning I have an appointment. He said, don't worry, I've booked a hotel for you. When I'm telling you, he has taken me to the hotel. When we got into the hotel, he said, listen, my coach says he wants you at all costs. Now, you put me in a difficult position. What do you want? You want some money? I said, no, it's not a question of money. He said, listen, I told him, President, I jokingly told him, President, if you really want me in Boa Vista, let's do a deal. This deal is not that I'm going to sign now. This deal is for me to go to the hotel now, relax. Tomorrow I have to go to Bama, then Aveiro. That is the city, Aveiro. Yeah. I'll go to Aveiro, then I'll come back here, then we can talk. Then he said, no, listen. I will bet something with you now. This is the president saying, very smart man. I'll bet something with you, something I've never done with any player. Listen, my coach is insisting he wants you at all costs. I said, so now, financially, what does this mean to me? I asked him, and he said, I'll pay you this, that. I said, okay, this, that. All clubs are offering me this, that. Then I told him, President, are you ready to do a sacrifice actually for Boa Vista? Because when I looked at the lineup of Boa Vista, it was very, very interesting. There was this John Pinto, who was at 18, 19 then. There was lots of fine Brazilian players and Portuguese players in the Boa Vista squad. I looked at, said, okay, President, are you ready to pay me $1,000 every goal I score? He looked at me, this is nothing. All right, this is already in it will be in your contract. I'll write it. Now, this one I'm telling you, they are writing the contract. Any goal you score in Boa Vista, $1,000.
Wow.
Extra. So I said, when I looked at it, I looked at the lineup of Boa Vista. Very, very interesting. I said, I'll score many goals in this lineup. That was when I knew I had a feeling as a coach. So I called the Bama president. I said, President, I didn't tell him I was in Porto. I said, listen, I have an appointment today, this morning with you, but I will not make it. He was shouting, they have told me you stopped in Porto. Now he wants to go.
The man was monitoring you.
I was monitoring. They have told me in Porto. I said, President, I will not lie to you. I'm in Porto, but I have not signed any contract. But I'm calling you to tell you, thank you so much. He wasn't happy. I
wouldn't be happy myself.
Yes, I had to make a decision. You know what happened to this Boa Vista, this very season we are talking of, 1991-92? When the president accepted my offer, I told him, okay, any goal I score $1,000. I said, okay, yes, no problem. Do you believe how many goals I scored for Boa Vista only that season? Portuguese League, European League, and the Portuguese Cup. I broke a record again. 56 goals. Just one season. 56 goals. So anytime the president sees me, when he passes by me, he'll be hitting me on my shoulder. So you came. You're
taking my money. But it's good. It was good.
It was fun. Yeah. I enjoyed playing in Boa Vista. One of the best seasons in my career and my life, and I just give all glory to God.
Before Jose Mourinho became the special one, the loud one, the guy that everybody in Nigeria loves, you had your encounter with Jose Mourinho. You worked with Jose Mourinho. Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, I had a wonderful moment with Jose Mourinho. He was very young as well then. Jose Mourinho should be then about 25. And he was my physical coach, very fond of me. And then he will always tell me, Ricky, do this, do that. You will become one of the best strikers ever. I would look and say, what, one of the best strikers ever. So I did exactly the way he taught me to do. And he was always telling me, he used to tell me, Richard, you'll see, I'll become one of the best coaches in the world. He told me this when he was 25. We had a wonderful relationship. We have a wonderful relationship. So I knew him as a young lad, as a physical coach. He was very important, very important. It was from Jose Mourinho that the Portuguese taught the world a huge football story, football history. You know what is that? No. Those days when you start training, you know where clubs used to carry you? They will take you to a stadium, and you start climbing
the hills. Yeah.
That stopped when Jose Mourinho came into Estrela da Amadora. He said, no, now everything is personal. Everything is special. What am I going to do with Richard? Would Richard run 50 kilometers in a game? He would not. So why do I want him to be running 50 kilometers in training? I want Richard to do 10 sprints, 10 meters, 15 meters maximum, personalized training. I was shocked. I had never had that story before. So that was why I was so fast. I was so fast in thinking as well. My displacements when the ball is coming, my calculation. I was very good in calculating. I would know where the ball would come out, and I would know at the right time to be in that position. So I learned this from Jose Mourinho.
So let's flip the script now to the part, all this part that you've been saying I didn't know until research and with the aid of having a great man like Emeka Anyadike. I'll be very, very ungrateful if I don't appreciate the effort he put into making this interview work and the research work and clear information to give me to make me have a pathway to this talk. Now, let's talk about the part that I knew and the part that I used to use against anybody who say you should play like Richard. So we used to say this thing in Port Harcourt. That Richard that could not even play in the Super Eagles is the one that everybody say we should be like. I don't want to be like him. But that's from position of ignorance. You are not the only one. I spoke with Giovanni Eba. It was in my other studio that I was, this is my house now. This is my house studio, but where I was before. And there is a ton of players who play very well for club, but struggle with national team. Paul Onuachu currently is doing that. Simi Wankwo, Terry Murphy, Siri Dessa, some of these guys. Even Victor Boniface currently. But then there is Mario Jadel, there is Giovanni Eba, there is Sonny Anderson, and quite a host of other players like that. Mike Obiku, Ifani Koku, and then the great, legendary, iconic Richard Owubokiri. Let's talk about your Super Eagles adventure. 23 games, 1 goal for a goal machine. What happened?
Yes, 23 games, just a goal. This goal was important in the process of Nigeria starting the World Cup series for 1994 finals in the US against the coach's wish. I was invited to play for the Nigerian national team. When I came in, my roommate Keshi met up with me with the coach and said, "Hey, you must play." I was surprised, but I knew from the beginning it was against his own wish, the coach's wish. So some players gathered and said, "Coach, this guy is the best player in Europe. He must play this match." I was surprised. I mean,
who were we playing at the time?
South Africa.
Okay.
That was the first match for South Africa after they returned to World Cup. I mean, to be part of
after the apartheid.
Yes. So that was in Lagos, and was it in August 1994? Yeah, August 1993, something of that nature. And I had been highest goal scorer in Europe. I had been highest goal scorer in Brazil, which is far away. We won't count on that. But I've been highest goal scorer in Europe. So, we trained against some people's wish. I was training on the first team. Eventually, they'll be removing me on the first team to the second team. But I never bothered. I was focused on the fact that I had the chance to play. So, I started the game, and luckily I scored the first goal for Nigeria. In the World Cup series. I scored the first goal, so it's gone into history. Whether people like it or not, it's there. So I scored the first goal, and it ended well. Yeah, the match ended well, and I got home. But I knew that was the end of my career in the Nigerian national team, because I will never succumb to somebody's wish than playing for my nation based on my qualities I had then. So that was it.
Well, I think you're choosing your word. You don't want to tell us the real details. I'm going to let it lie low like that. We're also running out of time again. But this is where I'm going to anchor this conversation today. You are one of the few players to play and win honors in 4 continents: Africa, South America, Europe, and Asia. You played in Qatar, you played in Brazil, you played in Portugal, you played in France, you played in Nigeria, Port Harcourt and Lagos, everywhere. And everywhere you go, you scored. But let's talk about, I know you talked about giving your life to Christ as your best goal, but let's talk about goal on the field now. What's the best goal you ever scored?
One of the best goals I ever scored. Wow, wow, wow. That was the winning goal against FC Porto. FC Porto in the Portuguese Cup. Finals of the Portuguese
Taka
Cup.
de Portugal.
Yes, that's how the Portugal, yes.
The most difficult defender you ever played against?
Many defenders. There's this Brazilian defender called Estevão. He used to play for Bahia. So I think one of the toughest defenders, yeah.
The best coach you ever work with?
Monday Sinclair.
Wow, my coach. The best teammates at club and country?
A Brazilian player called Marlon Brandão. He used to play with me in Boa Vista.
I know Marlon Brandon. Yeah, and the best country you ever lived in? I'm not be surprised if I hear Brazil, but I mean, I want to hear your take on that.
Brazil.
I told my wife that if I wasn't married when I went to Brazil in 2014, I wouldn't have come back. Definitely, I wouldn't have come back. I'm coming to visit Brazil again with my family. When I say
Please
that to her,
come.
she'll be like, you've been to 64 countries, and of all the countries, this Brazil that they're always saying on the news. I say, forget what CNN have to tell you. Brazil is the definition of heaven on earth, but you would not understand. And your favorite food?
My favorite food. I like many African dishes. Yeah? Okay, but I don't have them. So my favorite foods are Brazilian foods, beans, black beans. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of black beans. Your best game you ever played in? Best game you ever played in?
For having scored my first goal for Nigeria in a very difficult moment. Yes, the goal against South Africa in Lagos.
Wow. So this is where I put that the anchor on this, but I'm going to say, Ricky, what are some of the words of wisdom that coaches or players or fans or club president have told you in the course of your game that you have not inculcated into your everyday life?
Discipline, resilience. You must be and courageous, and above all, you have to love to do that which you have decided to do.
Now, as we wrap up, we have less than 2 minutes to do this. Tell us, my audience, how you met your wife and how you convinced her that she should leave whatever other person that is talking to her. I saw a picture of her. She's beautiful, Brazilian beauty. And convince her that this River State Okrika man is the guy you should spend the rest of your life with.
I've had a very wonderful experience as somebody who is married to a Brazilian. Wonderful experience, which I hope to carry on all through my life. But it's been a wonderful journey, and I want to thank God for everything, Elafi. I want to thank God for everything, for my family, for my children, for my parents. My parents are watching you now, talking to me. I have a wonderful brother as well, who is my agent. So I'm so grateful to God for everything.
The next time I would have the opportunity to sit down, I hope that when you come to Port Harcourt, I'm not out of the country, I'm available. I'll fly down with my crew. We'll sit down and the conversation, this is the football side of the conversation. The conversation will be on the family side. Your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your children, your wife. Thank you very much for spending your time with me as we chronicles the myth, the legend, and the man behind the name Richard Ricky Owubokiri. Everywhere he goes, he scores. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adafi. Thank you for having me.
And have a wonderful day. My regards to all of the beautiful people of Brazil.
Muito obrigado, muito obrigado.
Thank you very much.